Welcome to Healing Minds, Stories of Resiliency and Recovery, a conversation held at the intersection of substance abuse, mental health, and everyday living. Your hosts, Marc and Justin Wolf, bring both professional expertise and personal understanding to the table. So welcome to the conversation. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Healing Minds, Stories of Resiliency and Recovery. I'm your host, Justin Wolf, joined as always by my co-host, Marc Regala. Marc, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. I see you finally got a haircut now that Team USA won the double gold medal. Men's
Absolutely.
hockey and women's hockey. You were growing that out, as the Olympics was going on, right?
Of course, you can't shave that off, cut that off.
No beard though. Can you grow a beard?
No. I like to cover this up.
Seriously, ending of February, going into March. Nice thing about March, obviously, is we got spring around the corner. We got spring training baseball going on. We've kind of in purgatory with the weather, good days, bad days, but that's to be expected. But brighter days on the horizon, Justin.
Hopefully so.
Absolutely.
So I feel bad. I didn't bring any candy tonight, Marc, to tease you with, to vicariously ruin your very clean-cut diet.
I was wondering what you're nibbling on tonight.
Unfortunately, the answer for that is there is nothing.
No lemon heads, no candy. No Starburst jelly beans. Easter's around the corner. Have you got any yet?
Me. I walked down the candy aisle, I was literally shaking. Saw all the jelly beans everywhere.
I was in Mariano's and saw the actual stand, and I actually thought about you.
I'm surprised you just didn't kick it over like, this is not medicine for your body.
I thought about it.
Oh, man, I would have loved reading about you in the patch.
How did you? Boom, knocked the whole stand down.
Well, as much as I love to talk about jelly beans and their incredible properties that they possess, we're here to talk about another substance and its incredible properties that seem to be grabbing the attention of the headlines for a lot of not so great reasons. And one of those headlines that we're going to be kind of speaking to tonight, that the substance that's kind of sending shockwaves that is spreading around, right, is what we've seen labeled as gas station heroin, which is 7-OH, or by its full name, 7-hydroxynitrogenine. Oh, that is a mouthful. And for everybody's, favor, I'm just going to refer to it as 7-OH for short. I think it'll be easier, a little bit more, tolerable to hear me say that versus trying to say that all night. But what this is that it comes from the kratom plant, right? So it's found in small, natural amounts in the kratom leaf. And it is also formed in the body naturally after consuming mitragynine, which is found in the kratom leaf here. And the mitragynine is actually the most abundant alkaloid that is present within kratom, while 7-OH, also found there, is a far more potent alkaloid within the kratom leaf there. And it is so much more potent at the opioid receptors that it is actually 13 times more potent than morphine at the opioid receptor level. And we're talking about a substance, when we're talking about this, right, that's gotten labeled gas station heroin. And the reason why it got this nickname is because this is something that is legally being sold currently in smoke shops, convenience stores, gas stations, and is often marked as something that is legal or a natural remedy, which is a way that this is kind of being pumped out there and marketed to the general public. And so I've heard these horror stories of people hearing about kratom and its anecdotal evidence that's been out there for what it can be helpful or useful for. And you think about, they go to the smoke shop or they go to the gas station, they're searching for kratom, and they walk up to an attendant who may or may not be paying attention so much to what's going on in the store. And they tell that attendant, hey, do you have any kratom? And what they're being served or what they're being offered, like unbeknownst to the attendant, is they're now giving them 7-OH, something that is a much more potent substance than just the general kratom, which could be mixed into a tea. And so they're getting access, right?
I mean,
yeah. What are you thinking, Mark?
Well, just a couple things. I mean, one, you and I chatted a little bit before the podcast. So, well documented. I'm an opiate addict in recovery. Went from Norcos to Oxycontins to fentanyl patches to sobriety. But I tried everything under the book to try to get sober. And I did dabble with that kratom stuff. But as I shared with you, it was almost like a tea that you mix in like water or juice or something like that. And at the time that I dabble with it, because I was told that it'll help ease my withdrawals and maybe I can taper off and all that baloney. The time that I dabble with it, I had a very high tolerance to opiates. I think I was dabbling with fentanyl patches at that particular time. And I'll be straight up with you. When I was dabbling with that kratom stuff, I walked around flying higher than I was on like prescription opiates, whether it was Norcos, Oxycontins, or fentanyl patches. I'm just keeping it real there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know the different components of kratom. I knew it was an Asian-based plant or an Asian plant-based tree. I knew that it was opiate-based or came from the same family of like opium and things like that. But when you start talking about extracting out the different chemicals, okay, and then putting it into a drink, or a pill form or whatever, and they're selling this stuff legally and it's 13 times stronger than morphine and it's going to rewire their brain and their receptors and get them addicted, that's scary stuff right there, man.
Right.
I mean, that's scary stuff. And, the whole point of this podcast is to provide awareness. Well, I'll be straight up with you. And you and I had this conversation because, I don't know, it was probably maybe the summer of last year. I had a mom come up to me and say that their son was going through withdrawals from energy drinks. Remember having that conversation? Yeah. And I'm like, how could that be? And then you're the one that brought this up to me about this gas station heroin. And it kind of piqued my interest to find out more about it. And then, you've really educated me over the last, day or so about this stuff too. But yeah, I mean, there's people that are coming into like crisis centers and so forth that got withdrawals that are similar to heroin withdrawals, opiate withdrawals, just from drinking energy drinks from a frigging gas station or a smoke shop. That's scary, man.
Right. And you kind of look at the way these products are marketed, what they look like, the packaging, kind of like, I know you were showing me earlier, like, hey, is this it? I'm like, yeah. And it looks like a little 5-hour energy shot.
5-hour energy drinks. And that's exactly what it looks like. You're not going to know any better.
No. And so this puts people in a really dangerous position, especially when it's just really being marketed almost like it's this unregulated opiate-like product. And it's just available in all these places that you can just walk up and buy this. And this is where, I mean, you're seeing people's tolerance for this, just like any other opioid, right? It rises drastically and very quickly. And because it is hitting those receptors so intensely, you're talking about the development of dependence on this substance that the body is experiencing very quickly. And then just looking at, like you mentioned, like the withdrawal. These are things that come up all from picking up a substance that you can obtain at a gas station, a convenience store, that is just being, not handled by pharmacist or any other medical professional. Just somebody who's happened to work at the shop that day.
And then, I know you provided some documents to me, and I was reading some of these documents, but this story about this gentleman that was a husband and a father, successful businessman, but he was also, he was an addict in recovery. And he was introduced to this stuff, thinking he was buying it is a legal substance. Mm-hmm. And he said that at the end, he had roughly a $200 a day habit, It caused more destruction in his life than any alcohol or substance previously. And little did he know that something that could be bought legally from a gas station or a smoke shop can take his addictions to a level that it took it to.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's the part where there's just not the public awareness about what this actually is. Because this product, when you look at the way it's getting pumped out there, the way it's being talked, the claims that are being made about it from a health standpoint, it's not shining a light on any of those concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like the challenges that people have once they stop taking it. When you talk about those withdrawal symptoms you hear, and tell me, like, what does this sound like? Irritability, insomnia, flu-like symptoms, tolerance escalation, and then, just like shaking. And like, it's just, you're withdrawing from opioids again.
Well, and the other thing too here, Justin, is I'm looking at this packaging here. That looks like 5-hour energy, and it's very clever packaging in the sense that it's going to catch an adolescent's eye.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, with the bright colors and the designs on it and so forth. It just looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's going to catch somebody's eye, probably an adolescent's eye. They're going to think of it just like any other energy drink. Like I said, 5-hour energy. And just by the actual physical look of the bottle, I'll try that one. It looks pretty cool. Not even knowing what's inside of it. And to me, that's even scarier because the marketing here on these bottles is very clever. They're certainly going after a certain demographic, in my opinion.
Right. That and this industry that they have kind of dove into, marketing this, selling this, putting it on the shelf, finding all these different ways to sell it. I mean, this is $1 billion industry that they've entered into. And so there's a lot of heavy investors that know very much this is what we're pushing. And this is the return we're looking to get on these products, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so these are being sold. When you're talking about, the health industry, this kind of is like the antithesis of the health industry when you look at what is a driving force in it.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. And, I'm looking at this too. I mean, it's not legal in all states. It's legal in Illinois, but it appears it's illegal in Wisconsin, Indiana, and Ohio, so some neighboring states. And then there's a handful of others, but certainly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 20% of the United States it's banned in, the other 80% it's legal in the South.
Yeah. No, so it's still widely available. I know there are online places that individuals go to obtain this and have it shipped to their house. Just like any other substance, right? And so, I mean, this is just a very dangerous substance to be putting in one's body, especially if somebody is using this and consuming alcohol, taking other benzos or other opioids, and mixing these substances together. I mean, that is going to have a profound impact on that individual's physiological and psychological state.
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing is, in my opinion, the rewiring of the brain receptors.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to lead to other addictive tendencies. It's going to lead to addictive tendencies with this particular substance, even though, again, it can be bought legally. And just from my experiences with opiates, when your brain gets rewired like that, it's absolutely hell to get off of.
Yeah.
I mean, the physical sickness is brutal. And then you're not even talking about the brain healing and the brain rewiring and all the thoughts and urges and the way your body feels when you're going through acute withdrawal syndrome and all that stuff. And to think that this substance can be introduced to an adolescent,
Mm-hmm.
without them even having that knowledge or without them even realizing what they're doing to themselves, and their brain can get rewired like that. Now they got to go through the hell that I went through with addiction and withdrawals and things like that. I mean, I've said it before. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, and I certainly don't wish that on anybody, that is very innocently taking what they think is an energy drink from a convenience store or a gas station, and then have them taken down that path that I went down. Because it's just scary to me. As a parent, my kids are older, but I know I got a lot of friends that got younger children. I mean, that's scary stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And it's like, I know I work with a lot of adolescents and I see a lot of them and I see a lot of young adults and I'll hear them talk about, maybe they're not the legal age to legally purchase these things, and they will go into these stores and somehow come out having obtained them. Right. And I think that's, like you're saying, like the adolescent, the young adult, really puts, with their brain still developing the way they are, and just
Yeah.
the way this substance is hitting those receptors and that powerful connection. That is a dangerous position for someone to be in. And that is exactly why the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has even raised these safety concerns. Haven't kind of made a sweeping, designation like other individuals and states have claimed and called for, where it's like, hey, make this a Schedule 1 drug. Make sure that we can kind of take this off the shelves. And there hasn't been that action taken yet. Yet there is a growing number and a growing body of individuals and legislators calling for this substance to kind of, get a look at, because of just so many unknowns that are out there about this. And the known capacity regarding this substance is a pretty scary position for someone to be in after consuming this.
Well, we know that legislation and lawmakers don't work in the quickest arena.
Yeah.
And right now, this is a problem right now, not tomorrow or 2 months from now or 3 months from now. So, again, the whole point of this podcast is to provide awareness. And I'm going to challenge all the parents out there to make sure you have a conversation with your children, because I think this is an important conversation that needs to be had.
Mm-hmm.
Because this stuff is in your neighborhoods, again, at the neighborhood convenience store, at the local smoke shops or what have you. So it's a conversation that needs to be had at the dinner table, to prevent, something that can be disastrous and a destructive path that wasn't even the intent. They just saw an energy drink that had some cool colorings.
Mm-hmm. Or it's like, hey, this is going to give me a good feeling. It's going to give me kind of buzz. It's going to give me this, that warm body buzz that I'm kind of looking for. And then they have their friends talk about it. It's like, oh, you just go over here and get it? Like, I'm not even thinking about what it actually is.
Yeah.
And now I'm taking this, right? And so I think that's right. That's the part of all this where it's just being aware, spreading that information out there, recognizing that, hey, this substance is not harmless. It's not exactly what we're talking about when we talk about heroin. And the way it acts in the body and those receptors can be similar in the receptors there. And so that's where, you talk about just the pure potency, the accessibility that's out there, and the limited regulation on this. It's not a good combination here.
Well, I mean,
I feel like I'm doom and gloom right now.
Listen, the last two podcasts, you really educated me. Again, my kids are older, and the last podcast that we had about gambling with the youth and those loot boxes with the games and all that stuff, I brought that up just in conversations like with other parents, and they knew exactly what I was talking about with these loot boxes, but they never really viewed it as gambling or knew all the actual details about it. And now we have this right here. And I had mentioned to a couple parents that I know that we were going to be recording this podcast tonight. And I mentioned gas station heroin. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And I kind of explained briefly, but you got into a more specific explanation of what it is. And they're like, this can be bought at a gas station or convenience store? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how come we never heard about it? And you really haven't heard about it.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I appreciate the fact that we're doing this podcast tonight to provide awareness, because this is very serious subject matter, man.
Right. Right. No, and I think that's the other thing. It's just, hey, we got to shine a light. You got to talk about it in order to kind of be aware about it, in order to do anything about it.
Yep, 100%. So, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Appreciate you joining and sharing your story and kind of what we've heard when we talk about kratom. We talk about 7-OH that is kind of out there, grabbing attention. I think just really kind of stay tuned to this, stay listening to it, keep up to date on what is going on with this substance. Just stay cautious, because I know another big thing is that the labels that are on the kratom packaging at all times isn't always accurate. And so, these herbal supplements that are sold, sometimes they're not fully listing all their ingredient list. I know, Mark, you and I could kind of go back and forth about back in the day with all these supplements and like the weightlifting industry that were kind of like there were steroid markers in them and they were testing positive, right? But it was never on a label. But those things were kind of put out there. So I think that's part of the danger, is just staying aware, staying alert, and just really being intentional with what you're putting in your body. And if there's a party that's kind of looking for something that's going on, that's saying, hey, I got to kind of get away from here, or like there's something going on, I just want to feel different than what I feel right now. Well, let's kind of lean into that feeling and let's address it. Let's work through that and build up that confidence and that self-efficacy that whatever I'm experiencing, I know internally, I can kind of get through this. I might not like it, and I can still find a way to work through this at the same time.
Correct.
So,
great information, Justin. I appreciate it. And my question for you is going to be on the next podcast. Well, it's going to be the middle of March, so I guarantee you're going to be nibbling on Starburst jelly beans.
I sure as heck hope so.
Whole bag right in front of you.
My favorite day is the day after Easter. They all go on sale. It is a grand day. My wife's like, why is that pantry filled with jelly beans? Like, don't you ask questions.
I could see it.
Don't worry about me. Don't you worry about. Oh, that's going to be a glorious time. Yep. Things to look forward to in the future here. So, well, as always, we always appreciate everybody joining us here on these podcasts. They are on the 1st and the 15th. So feel free to tune in. We'll do our best to kind of keep you up to date with what we're hearing and what we're seeing and keep bringing you topics like this. So any comments, any feedback, things you'd like to see us talk about or dive into, as always, feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to kind of explore that, spend some time talking about that. And until the next time, Mark, I appreciate you joining, man. So thank you for your insight and your wisdom.
Thank you. Everybody have a good couple weeks. Take care.
All right. We'll catch everybody on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us today on Healing Minds, Stories of Resiliency and Recovery. If you're on the journey to find guidance and insights, subscribe now wherever you find your podcasts. Healing Minds, Stories of Resiliency and Recovery is an educational resource, not a substitute for medical or therapeutic advice. The opinions expressed by the hosts and their guests are not necessarily those of NAMI DuPage. Go to namidupage.org/podcast for links to past episodes, show notes, and to submit a question or topic ideas for a future episode. Until next time, be well.